I'm Rebecca Hawthorne, President of the League of Women Voters, Wayzata, Plymouth area. And I would like to welcome our candidates, our audience, and our viewers to tonight's forum. The League of Women Voters is a 102-year-old volunteer nonpartisan organization that encourages the informed and active participation of citizens in government, works to increase understanding of public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not support or oppose any political party or candidate. The views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates, not those of the League of Women Voters. It is our purpose in sponsoring forums such as this to provide you with the opportunity to hear the candidates discuss the issues that are important to you. And now I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening's forum, William Johnson of the League of Women Voters, Wayzata, Plymouth area.
Thank you. Good evening. Tonight's forum is provided to give you an opportunity to learn about the candidates running for the Wayzata School Board. There's never enough time to cover all the issues in a setting such as this, so if your questions are not addressed, feel free to contact the candidate directly. Recordings of this event, whether in person or by computer, may not be used without the express written approval of the League. The League will only allow audio-video of this event to be broadcast in its entirety, except for media coverage or media reporting on the event. I ask the audience at this point to please silence your cell phones. The rules for this evening's forum are as follows. Candidates will be allowed an opening statement with a maximum of 1 minute to state their experience, platform, and objectives. A question and answer period will follow the opening statements. The answers will be confined to 1 minute unless designated otherwise by the moderator. Opening statements will be given in alphabetical order, and questions will then be asked in a rotating order. The candidates have all been given a copy of the order that the questions will be asked so that they know that in advance. A 15-second warning will be given to the candidates. The candidates will also be at the end given a 2-minute closing statement. Candidates, please finish your sentence quickly when you see the stop sign or you will be interrupted. No reference of a personal nature will be tolerated. A person's public record may be examined, but not their character. This forum is made available to encourage the voting public to focus on the issues and not on personalities. We ask there be no demonstrations of support or opposition to the candidates or their positions, and that the candidate be allowed their full time to get their points across. The public has been encouraged to submit questions in advance online. For those in the audience, if you have a question, write it on a 3x5 card available from our volunteers and raise your hand to have it picked up. Questions that are unclear, hostile, or of a personal nature will not be used. Those that fall in the same general area may be consolidated. The candidates running for the 3 Wayzata Independent District 284 school board seats are Nick DeVries, Aaron Herzberg, Sarah Johansson, Heidi Cater, Brian Kubish, Matu Perry-Karupin, Derek Plymate, Daniel Sellers, Aaron Shelton, Miriam Siddiqui, and Malind Sohani. All 12 candidates who filed for this election were invited to participate in the forum tonight. Justin Hibbets and Derek Plymate were invited and declined to participate. As stated in our candidate cancellation or participation policy, we will proceed with the other candidates. All right, the introductions. We will begin with the 1-minute introductions with Mr. Nick DeVries.
Hello, my name is Nick DeVries. I first want to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to come here tonight and share my experience with you. I'm a father of 5 children, ranging in ages from 11 months to 13 years. My wife Jill and I moved to Plymouth about 9 years ago, partially because of the reputation that this school district has. I've been a small business owner for 11 years. Everything in my career has set me up to be a successful board member. I manage finances, resolve conflict, and make tough decisions. Many people have asked me, why am I running for school board? Like many parents, I became involved in the day-to-day curriculum last year during distance learning. The experiences and discussions I witnessed firsthand drove me to say, enough talk. It's time to make a change. The Wayzata School District has always been known for providing our students an amazing education and preparing them for the future. I don't believe that there is a one-size-fits-all answer to every issue that we will face, but I hope to bring a common-sense approach to the board. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just a reminder to the candidates, there is a green button on the microphone in front of you that you want to press when you are ready to talk. All right, now we'll hear from an introductory statement from Aaron Herzberg.
My name is Aaron Herzberg. My wife Stacy and I have been residents of Plymouth and part of the Wayzata School District for over 15 years. We started a family and moved to Plymouth 100% for the Wayzata School District's high level of education and extracurricular activities. We knew that the high quality education programs that Wayzata School District offered would give our 4 children the springboard to unlimited success in life. I would like to do my part to give back by serving the district that has given our family so much. In these ever-changing times, I will help drive positive change for all students in the district. I will ensure all children continue to receive high-quality education and the opportunity that Wayzata offers. What makes me qualified as a future Wayzata school board? My background in key professional roles in education give me the experience and unique insight for how to overcome a wide variety of issues and challenges. I'm a proven listener, problem solver, and collaborator. I have a master's degree in education administration and leadership. I've spent over 10 years as a IT engineer, and I've owned my own medical transportation business.
All right, thank you, Mr. Herzberg. All right, we'll now hear from Ms. Sarah Johansson.
Hi, I'm Sarah Johansson. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us tonight, and thanks to each of you for sharing your time or watching us from home. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve on the school board for the past 7 years, and I hope to earn your vote for re-election. Tonight's questions will highlight my knowledge, leadership experience, and vision for our district. But to start, I'd like to share a little bit about who I am as a person. I am the mom of 3 very different learners. I get giddy every time I see school buses. Over the past 8 years, I have probably spent time every single day working for or thinking about excellence in Wayzata. When you invite me to talk about the school board, we could be there for hours. And finally, having to keep our students out of our buildings over the past 18 months was heart-wrenching, and I never want to be there again. I love my job, and in a time that has been incredibly difficult for everyone in public education, including school board members, I am more committed than ever to serving our community and working for each and every student.
Thank you very much. All right, now we'll hear from Heidi Cater.
Hi, I'm Heidi Cater. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting us tonight. I'm the daughter of immigrants, and I'm a proud graduate of Wayzata Schools. I'm now in the thick of it alongside all of you with a kindergartner, a 5th grader, and a 7th grader. For the past 8 years, I've been finding ways every day to support our students and schools. Everything from classroom parent to advocating with district partners on how to end lunch shaming and stress, and now serving on the district-wide Wayzata Education Fund. I also have a track record that spans 18 years of leadership by serving on several boards in our community at large. I'm in a unique and strong position to serve the Wayzata School District. I'm an adjunct professor at St. Kate's University in St. Paul. I'm an established clinical trials professional, and I have a master's degree in public health from the University of Minnesota. Parents, teachers, community members, I'm committed to listening to each of you. If elected, I will work hand in hand with you, and I have the stamina to see this work through. I look forward to the panel tonight.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from Brian Kubish.
Good evening. My name is Brian Kubish, and thank you to the League of Women's Voters for this opportunity. We moved our family to Plymouth 6 years ago, specifically to be in the Wayzata School District. I'm a husband and a father of a 1st grader at Sunset Hill, a 4-year-old, and our third is on the way. So we have a vested interest in this district. COVID consumed our attention the past 18 months, but we need to think beyond our current situation with a long view. First, I want to create a healthy, happy kids initiative, focusing on minimizing highly processed foods while developing a farm-to-school meal program. Second, a growing district requires an increase in infrastructure, teachers, and staff. Fiscal responsibility requires a hard look at the data and our budget, and I like data, so this is something I'm pretty good at. And I work for a global agriculture company with a diverse group of people. From leading a U.S. marketing campaign to sales management, I believe my professional experiences will translate to the challenges of the school board very well. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Mutu Perry Karupan.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum, and thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm running for the Wayzata School Board because I love kids and I want to keep Wayzata on top. My wife and I have 3 kids who thrived at Wayzata, and I'm grateful for the strong foundation Wayzata provided our kids for continued success. I'm a lifelong Minnesotan, as my family moved here from India when I was 1 year old. I have lived in Plymouth for over 40 years and know this community well. I'm a CPA with over 30 years of experience as a collaborative leader and mentor in the business community. I know how to produce results. I coach travel soccer with the Plymouth Soccer Association, and I currently teach an 8th grade class at our faith community. I'm involved in recruiting college graduates for my CPA firm and serve as a mentor for many young adults. As the district faces new challenges and continued growth, I want to make sure we stay focused on providing high-quality education and developing well-rounded leaders who care about their community. I will ensure that we stay true to the Wayzata equity commitment by drawing on personal experience. I keep an open mind, listen to others, and seek out expert insight when making decisions. I will combine my experience and my love for working with kids to serve you on the Wayzata School Board. We must keep Wayzata on top.
Thank you, sir. And now we'll hear from Daniel Sellers.
Good evening. I want to start also by saying thank you to the League of Women Voters and that I'm humbled to share this stage with this great group of candidates. My name is Daniel Sellers, and I moved to the Wayzata District with my family because of the stellar reputation of the schools. I'm running for school board to ensure that we maintain that exceptional quality so that every student can reach their full potential. The Wayzata School District is a complex organization with an annual budget of more than $220 million. I'm not just focused on 1 or 2 niche topics. I'm prepared to deal with a wide range of issues, applying due diligence and thoughtful consideration. I've spent my entire professional career working in and with schools, first as a 6th grade math teacher, and for the past decade in education nonprofit leadership roles. I've served on the district's Legislative Action Committee, and I have experience as an education advocate at the state capitol. I am a firm believer in the importance of strong public schools as the foundation of our thriving community. I look forward to sharing more about my priorities with you throughout the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And now we'll hear from Erin Shelton.
Good evening. My name is Erin Shelton, and I'm the mom of 2 teenage boys in the district. As a school board member, I will be a voice for parents, speaking up for a K-12 education that produces well-equipped and purpose-filled members of society. I will stand for equality of opportunity for all students and the empowering of each one to take ownership of his or her learning goals. I believe our classroom should be politically neutral and free of compelled speech and cancel culture. I know that we can model and teach students to have respectful discourse even when we don't agree. I will speak up for choice in regards to masking and COVID vaccinations for both students and staff, as well as truthful, comprehensive, and contextual teaching of history, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I look forward to my time here tonight and very much appreciate the League of Women Voters for allowing me the opportunity to speak this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And now we'll hear from Miriam Siddiqui.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, League of Women Voters. I'm a trained dentist, an academician, a scientist, a wife of a frontline worker who serves our nation's veterans. Going through the pandemic not only has amplified the hills and crevices of our civic landscape, it has amplified my desires to make a contribution in a more meaningful way. My husband and I were raising 2 daughters, the youngest of which we lost to cancer. We, as a young family, experienced healthcare system, the strength rooted in our communities, as well as meaning and education of special needs programs. Our unique experience towards developing crowd-funded educational endowment at University of Minnesota to educate the end-of-life care for children gave me perspective of engaging the community and bringing out-of-box solutions. My family understands the meaning of giving back in a meaningful way, and I'm grateful for you to giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. And last we'll hear from Milin Sahoni.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for providing me this platform. to present myself tonight in front of you. My name is Milind Sohoni, and I am a first-generation immigrant. My wife and I have lived in this community for 26 years. The Wayzata School District has provided my children an excellent education, and it is my desire to provide your children the same excellent education that my children got. I will be an advocate for education equity, a healthy school meals program, and additional funding for students with disability. My experience as a volunteer, a scientist, a leader, and an entrepreneur will make me an effective school board member. Please visit my website at sohoniforschoolboard.com. Again, my name is Milind Sohoni, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you. We will now start the questions, and you will be answering in a rotating order. The candidates have each been given a sheet with the order they will be called on for each question. You will have 1 minute. Question number 1, learning loss. How can the school board support students, teachers, administrators, and parents in addressing the learning loss of last year? First, we'll hear from Mr. Aaron Herzberg.
I think the school board can help with learning loss, as they did a good job with over the pandemic by offering online classes, extra curricular activities, tutoring. Wayzata has a pretty good curriculum that was able to translate well. My kids had to do online learning, and I think the learning loss was pretty well taken care of to begin with.
All right. Thank you. All right, now we'll hear from Milind Sohoni.
Thank you for that question. Learning loss is more prevalent in younger children because they need parents to navigate. I listened to a podcast once, and the reporter said it's more than learning loss. It's an opportunity for missed learning. So it's not a total loss in many districts, including ours, especially because we are a wealthy district, and there are students that have the facilities and the availabilities to learn virtually. In-class learning is the best way to teach children, and I believe that a healthy environment in the class, masking, social distancing, ventilation, vaccination for older children that are in high school is the best way for them to be in class, and that will mitigate learning loss that we have suffered in the last year. Congress has allocated $200 billion for COVID losses, but the Wayzata School District, being a wealthy district, there is not much money that has been appropriated to the school district.
Thank you. All right, Aaron Shelton.
Thank you for the question. First of all, I think as parents and as a school district, number one rule, don't freak out. We have to assess learning loss in a targeted way. Let's see what actual losses took place so that we can then address those. We need to focus our resources on the essentials of education, the reading, the writing, the math, the science. Let's focus on those and keep distractions out of the classroom. The good news is that, especially in adolescents and younger children, the brain is very plastic. It's very able to overcome learning loss if we can just make sure that we can, again, keep distractions out of the classroom and focus on the essentials of education.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Daniel Sellers.
Well, it's worth noting, of course, that the issue of academic achievement and opportunity gaps has been seriously exacerbated by the pandemic. Research shows that many student groups are behind in math and reading, but it's the most vulnerable students who experience the steepest setbacks. As we emerge from this pandemic, we should be focused on putting in place the supports to ensure students do not suffer any long-term consequences. That includes keeping kids safe and in school, utilizing formative assessments to determine learning loss, and investing in interventions to help catch kids up. Working to close those achievement and opportunity gaps, ensuring that all kids can live up to their potential. Coming out of the pandemic, we need experienced leaders on our school board, and I believe my educational background will help me be an effective advocate for students who are at risk of falling behind.
Thank you. All right, Miriam Siddiqui.
So I would say the pandemic is upon all of us, and we all need to participate proactively. Hybrid learning, evolving teaching outdoors, weather permitting, working on new models, and constantly piloting new models would all help.
All right, thank you. Sarah Johansson.
I am deeply concerned about the impacts of the pandemic and the learning loss that has taken place due to the multiple disruptions. The extent of the impact is something that we will be unpacking throughout this entire year and actually for a few more years to follow. Our teachers and leaders were thinking about this already in March of 2020, and it has remained front of mind. Our strategic direction of personalization speaks directly to this, and we will need to be patient and persistent in our assessment and intervention strategies. Specifically, I'm really curious about our K-2 students, all of which who have not had a full in-person year of preschool or kindergarten. Additionally, we need to remember that it may not be all bad news. We know that students made significant progress in taking ownership of their learning and navigating different learning techniques. As we move forward, it'll also be important to recognize what we have gained and what we need to continue to foster or hold on to. Our district planning efforts included a consideration of learning loss mitigation into next summer and the following years. And I am confident that we have the expertise to continue to ensure excellence. It may be cliche, but this is another marathon, and our teachers and our staff need the resources and to support to stay focused and ensure impact over time.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Nick DeVries.
I think the first thing we need to do is talk to and listen to the teachers. Find out what they're seeing in their classrooms and give them the support they need in their efforts to help kids catch up. There's going to be a disparity between kids. Some kids excelled during distance learning and some fell behind. We need to identify those who fell behind and give them the resources both inside and outside of school to help them catch up. We could do some outside the box thinking. Maybe look at high school juniors and seniors who need some volunteer hours for graduation. Have them come into our elementary schools and do some tutoring. Maybe have them sit down and do some math and reading with our elementary school kids. We need to make sure our focus and time in the classroom is focused on the fundamentals of education. Like Aaron said, the reading, the writing, and the math. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Muthu Peria Karupan.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. We've all seen the McKinsey report, which highlighted the negative impact of the learning loss and talked about potential lost income for this entire generation that was home for 18 months. What I want to say is let's not stigmatize this generation. This generation has shown amazing resiliency and resourcefulness in withstanding the pandemic and staying in school and continuing to learn and doing it the best way they can. The teachers have shown resiliency as well, so I don't want to be negative. We have to create a positive environment for these kids. We have to show positive encouragement that these kids are back in school. We have to have belief in our teachers to be able to bring our kids back up to speed. We need to get our share of the federal funding so that we can hire extra tutors. And we need, and most importantly, to keep our kids in front of the teachers. We need to keep our kids with their friends and create a positive environment. To do that, we have to follow all necessary protocols to keep the kids in class. And that's the protocols that would be, as defined by the CDC and the MDH. But my number one priority is keeping the kids in class and creating a positive environment, telling them what a great job they've done during the pandemic.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Heidi Cater.
So if you have a 7th grader, the last uninterrupted year that they had was 4th grade. Just think about that for a second. COVID has definitely highlighted the gaps that exist in our system. It appears more for some than others, and we need to be sensitive to that. So I think one of the biggest ways that we can help this learning loss is to meet our kids where they're at. We need to get them back in the routine of learning, because if you have a kid in school, you know getting out of bed right now is not the easiest thing. So just getting back in the routines, getting them focused again, and as the year goes on, there's going to be more that they're able to do. But the biggest thing that we can do to make sure that the learning loss doesn't continue and for us to halt the learning loss that has happened is to keep our kids in school. So whatever that takes, we need to keep our kids in in-person school. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Brian Kubish.
Thank you. Yes, I think we can all agree that in-school learning is critical and must be a priority. I think we really need to dig into the data and figure out to what extent did we really lose on some of the fundamentals like reading, writing, math, and science, and really work with our teachers and allow them the time to look at their students differently and set things up for individual students, like individual learning plans, and then quickly build a concrete plan for each of those students, and then identify ways that we can assist both the students and the families that need the additional time and resources to succeed, and then really do a good job as we go through this process to capture the progress, and then we can analyze how we did over the year. But I want to say I believe our teachers are doing an amazing job with what everything last year threw at them, and I am confident that they are going to help every child get back to their highest level and very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, question 2 concerns COVID protocols. The Wayzata 2021-22 COVID-19 Prevention Guidance Plan, keeping our students safe and in school, will be regularly reviewed and adjusted based on recommendations from the COVID team and or changes in state requirements or recommendations. What is your view of the COVID-19 Prevention Guidance Plan for the 21-22 school year? And we'll begin with Ms. Sarah Johansson.
All right, thank you. Well, everyone knows that I sat on the school board and I voted in favor of thank you for turning on my microphone, of our safe learning plan. And I am deeply committed to following the recommendations of our public health officials and making sure that we do everything we can to follow mitigation strategies to keep our students in school. The most important thing to know about our safe learning plan right now is that it's working. I had a meeting with principals from every level and a number of building administrators yesterday, and our kids are doing great. They're following masking, we're not having extreme quarantines, and it feels as normal as it has in the last 18 months. And our nurses are really busy and overworked, and transmission levels are still really high. So our safe learning plan is focused on making sure that we do everything possible to keep our students in school, and we will continue to follow the guidance of public health experts to ensure that we keep our students safe. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Heidi Cater.
So I always start with the goal. And the goal is to keep our kids in school for in-person learning, like we were just saying, to reduce any learning loss and to make sure that our society is moving as it should. We want to keep our kids in school for reliable instruction too, so we don't want a lot of interruptions. So for me, I say we use all of the tools available to us: masking, layer that with vaccines, layer that with hand sanitation, layer that with improved airflow. Do it all so that our kids can stay in school reliably. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Brian Kubish.
Yes, I agree with the Keep Students Safe plan, the two main goals of keeping students safe and in school. And we, like I said just a minute ago, we need to prioritize in-school learning. And I would just want to be clear, I'm not against vaccines and I'm not against masks, but I am against mandates. It's Americans and parents have a fundamental right to decide what we put in or on our body. Making our own healthcare decisions has and should remain a part as our parental rights. We know that there's no long-term studies on the effects of COVID and no long-term studies on the effects of the COVID vaccines. And that's why I really believe that it needs to be a choice and up to the parents and the individual. And I'll also just leave you with this is, have we thought about what the long-term effects of our children sitting in a classroom 7 hours a day, not being able to see the faces of their classmates or their teachers? And another question, for our teachers not being able to see their students' nonverbal cues, what are the effects academically? Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll now hear from Ms. Miriam Siddiqui.
Well, we need to focus on expert opinion and depoliticize science around infection control. We need to engage in public health messaging using the platform of the experts in public health services. Objective analysis around productivity and financial burden can help ward off sentimental and emotional conversation on such important issues. Schools come under the domain of public health. It's our responsibility to follow the guidelines provided by the experts in the field. We are not trained, they are trained. If one has a valid alternative solution, it should be debated or discussed in the forum of public health policy. There are better people than us and are actively devoting their time and expertise to develop infectious control and public health policies. The consequences of not following established policies divide us as a nation in a time of test and the consequences are too enormous for our society to bear.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Mr. Nick DeVries.
I first want to start by saying that I'm not anti-mask. I am not anti-vaccine. I myself am actually vaccinated, so I'm definitely not anti-vaccine. What I am for, though, is medical freedom. Our parents deserve the right to make healthcare decisions for themselves and their kids that they deem appropriate. And if that is to wear a mask, wear two masks, great. If that is to not wear a mask, that is fine too. That is their choice. We're told that we should be following the science, but which science should we be following? There's science that supports both wearing a mask, not wearing a mask. Masks are good, masks are bad. They're bad for your lungs. So there's science that backs up both arguments. Our district currently says that masks should be worn in kindergarten through 8th grade schools until 6 p.m. every day, and 3:30 at the high school. But what happens after those hours? Kids are going to basketball practice, hockey practice without masks inside the school. They're going over to friends' houses, hanging out without masks, and then the very next day they're back in school together. It doesn't seem productive to have them wear a mask while they're in school and not have to afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Aaron Herzberg.
First, I want to say I don't think there's a person up here that isn't here because they're not passionate about kids and about their own kids and about the kids of this community. I think we all want to do what's best to keep our kids in school. I have 4 kids. I work from home mainly. I want them at school 100%. I want my kids to be healthy. I want other kids to be healthy, and I want to do that the best way. I agree we need to follow the experts and the science, but I have to ditto what Nick says. I'm here today because I'm here for medical freedom. I'm for if you want to wear a mask, great. I'll stand with you. If you don't want to wear a mask, if you do want to wear a mask, I'll stand with that as well. I want what's best for our kids. I want them in school, and I want them learning, and I want them healthy. And that's my top goal, and I'll listen to both sides to achieve that.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Milind Sahoni.
Thank you for the question. I am a scientist who believes in data and the conclusions drawn from it. I'm going to give you just a couple of numbers. 25% of the recent COVID infections are children. I don't think they are from the Wayzata school district, but the children who have not been masked are being infected. Breakthrough cases are very rare. Breakthrough cases are infections, hospitalizations, and deaths after vaccination is taken. Those who have been vaccinated are very, very rare. When the CDC, NIH, and other medical organizations, the Department of Health, tells me that the masks are good for the children, I believe them, I trust them. My top priority would be to keep students, teachers, staff, and families safe. Masks are the best short of vaccines. High school students' vaccination has not reached critical mass, but many of them have been vaccinated, and I think they should keep continuing to get vaccinated. As Chase Anderson said, at the end of the year, we will look at the situation and we will take a call. I hope it's the best news we hear rest of the year.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Daniel Sellers.
Look, I'm a dad of a kindergartner and a second grader, and I understand how difficult it can be sometimes for kids to wear a mask all day. But I also believe that having kids in school should be our top priority. And if that means they have to wear a mask, well, the science backs that up, and I will support any COVID mitigation protocols that the science and data and CDC support. For example, we know COVID-19 vaccines have been scientifically proven to be safe and effective. But all that being said, we are in uncharted territory, and that's why we need to keep revisiting these policies. And if elected, I plan to work closely with our administration to regularly revisit those health and safety protocols and make sure we're doing what's best for kids and families.
Thank you. Aaron Shelton.
First of all, I want to say that there's no way to please everyone, and that I do believe our board has the kids' best interests at heart. And so thank you, Sarah, for and all the board members out there for, I know this has been hard for you guys. Personally, I do support freedom The CDC recommends wearing masks, and therefore I think that we can recommend wearing masks too, and let those healthcare decisions be placed with the parents, in particular with the vaccine. Is this new vaccine technology? We don't have long-term data on this kind of vaccine. I'm not against vaccines. I probably have more vaccines in my body than most of you all, having lived overseas. So my kids are fully vaccinated. This one, I would just like to see some more long-term data before we go and mandate it or put all of our trust in it, whereas you can see people with vaccines are getting COVID and they are getting hospitalized. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mutu Periakarupan.
Thank you. Thank you. When we look back from a year ago, it's remarkable that we're talking about having our kids in class now. It's a very encouraging. The first day of school, I walked around and to see the looks on everybody's faces at the school bus stop. How excited the kids were to get back to school. How excited the parents were to have their kids go back in school, and everyone was taking pictures again. I went to the high school. There was so much positive energy at the school with everybody going back to school and seeing their friends. That's where we need to keep them. We need to keep them in the school. I'm not a scientist. I have a daughter who's in the medical field. I have friends who are pediatricians. I also have friends who are PhDs in epidemiology. And since I'm not a scientist, I rely on what experts say. And as others have mentioned, there's many experts making comments, and there's many studies out there. I believe we have to rely on the studies that are consistent with the CDC and Minnesota Department of Health. And certainly the experts that I know recommended that you should be wearing a mask and follow all necessary protocols as recommended, because the end goal for me is to see the kids eventually happy faces in the school. Hopefully that time comes soon.
Thank you. All right, question 3 regarding district strengths and weaknesses. In your opinion, what is one key strength of the school district and one area in need of improvement? And we start with Ms. Heidi Cater.
Well, I was hoping you would ask me that. I think the greatest strength that we have in this district is our families and our students. Without a doubt, this district, the people who live here want to be here. So as somebody who's super involved in the community and going out to our baseball games and into our neighborhoods, you can feel, it's palpable how much the families want to be involved and how much they love being here. A weakness of our district, and we do have a great district, but we all have weaknesses, right, is our persistent achievement gap. And the way that I see us really dealing with that is putting our equity commitment into action, because it's our values down on paper, and we need to start putting those into action. The equity commitment is a great aspirational document, and I'm excited to see it getting put into action.
All right, thank you. Sarah Johansson.
Well, I'm going to sound pretty similar. I agree that our greatest strength of our district is the excellence that we portray. We have amazing students, the best, I think, in the nation. We have such a committed group of parents and community members that join and partner with us consistently to ensure excellence for each and every student. And our teachers and our administrators are among the best. They really are top-notch, and we are lucky to have them. And at the same time, our commitment to excellence for each and every student and our consistent working towards making sure that this is a place for everyone, we do still have a persistent opportunity and achievement gap. And we have students that are not achieving their full potential and thriving in our buildings. And I feel like our equity commitment, our commitment to quality first-time instruction, and the investments that we are making in giving our teachers and our principals the support to ensure that every student can thrive in a classroom is really our path to move forward and address the opportunity and achievement gap. Thanks.
Thank you. Malin Sohoni.
Thank you for that question. I am going to echo both Sarah and Heidi. I think the excellence, the strength that the school district has is the excellent teachers, staff, and the students. There is no doubt. Both our children went through the school district education, and they received the best education that was possible for them. We do have a weakness, though, the opportunity gaps. As I mentioned in my opening statement, we would like to consider Wayzata School District as the best district in the school. Yes, it is for many, many students, but there are many students who are not at grade level in their math and reading skills. That opportunity gap should not exist in the Wayzata School District. I just want to make a quick comment about a zero-sum game. In my corporate life, I've always been told that everything is not a zero-sum game. It is not about one side winning so that the other side can lose, or the other side winning so one side can lose. Everybody can win when there is equal opportunity and equity. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Nick DeVries.
We're going to go 4 for 4 with the strength here. So I would agree that a big strength of this district is going to be the students and the parents and the teachers. I do believe regardless of the view you have on a lot of these topics, we can all see that everyone is very passionate about providing our students with the best education we possibly can. Another strength I would say is our financial strength. Wayzata School District has done a great job of keeping fiscal responsibility and making sure that from a monetary standpoint, we have confidence that we're being taken care of. With regards to something that needs improvement, I would say communication and transparency. We need to have proactive communication with parents. Parents need to be able to know what is coming forward before it's actually here, so they have a chance to digest it, to understand it, and bring up any questions or concerns before a decision is made on those topics. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Aaron Herzberg.
I would say our greatest strength is our opportunity and diversity. I mean, just look at the panel right here. I mean, there are some smart people up here. There's a couple doctors. Just the opportunity that Wayzata shows our children, the classes that it offers, the extracurricular activities. This is why I live here. Honestly, my income level, I don't belong in Plymouth. If it were up to me, if I didn't have kids, I'd live in a trailer in the woods. But I want my kids to see the best. I grew up moving around the country. I lived in very poor communities. I would rather be the poorest fish in the pond and have my kids see the excellence and the opportunity that's out there. I want all kids to see that. I want them to feel that. One of the weaknesses that I feel that Wayzata has is the encouraging of trades. I think we're focused too highly on everyone going to college, everyone getting a 4-year master's degree. My daughter was involved with Skills USA. I think we should encourage more trades in our schools.
Thank you. Miriam Siddiqui.
I'm a witness of a successful college student. Thanks to Wayzata, Maria graduated at 17. She won Prudential Award, and she's at Ann Arbor now. And of course, best academic achievements. I agree with most of you. There is achievement gap, which we can say that this is a significantly missed opportunity in a relatively homogenized community. And I don't think it will be masked for too long by relative majority. There is nothing wrong in identifying our weaknesses. We just need a chance of raising awareness and giving voices to the minority by offering them more seats on the table, being proactive, so that for example, reading proficiency between people of color or like Birchview kids can be more homogenized.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Mutu Karupan.
Thank you. Thank you. We are so lucky to be in Wayzata School District. We are so lucky to have a school that's so respected for everything, for academics, for the arts, our theater group, and we're feared in sports. And the reason why are we so good at everything? Why are we so respected? Why are we so high performing? To me, what's very inspiring is the sense of unity and collaboration, the collaboration among the board, the collaboration and unity the board has with the superintendent with the district and the teachers amongst themselves. I have a lot of friends who are teachers in the district, and they talk about how even the different grade teachers talk about each of the students and how they can help them as they're progressing to the next level. That's really unique to our district, where it's not contentious and everybody really tries to get along. And why do they do it? It's because everybody cares about the kids. Everybody wants the kids to have the best experience, and we're all focused on them for the long term. In terms of opportunity, certainly I commend the board for passing the equity commitment. I carry a laminated version with me all the time. We really have to work on making sure every kid feels like they belong. I think when we look at the equity commitment, that also will address the achievement gap.
Thank you. Aaron Shelton.
Along with the others, I keep forgetting to turn my microphone on. Sorry. Wayzata has a reputation for excellence, and that gets us a lot in terms of excellent teachers and excellent administrators. This reputation for excellence recruits families here every year. We're growing as a district, and that gets us more funding. So these are wonderful things. We've got a great community. We've been welcomed here, and we've only been here 3 years. We can't coast on our reputation, though. We have to keep the essentials of education excellent. We've got to work on our reading and math proficiencies across the board. I do realize there is an achievement gap between different races, but in general, there's just a lot of kids, more than you would expect across the board, who aren't reading at proficient levels or doing math at proficient levels. So we've got to keep our focus on those things so we can increase our readiness for the next stage of life for them.
Thank you. Brian Kubish.
Yeah, agree with Aaron on the trades. I definitely agree we could spend some more time there. But when we got to meet with the board, I heard a number that I was pretty blown away by, that nearly 90% of our students that graduated last year are moving on to a higher education at a university, and a lot of them attending Minnesota schools. And I equate that directly to the quality of teachers and faculty that we have in this district, and that's why we moved our family here. As far as a weakness, I mean, it's been talked about here quite a bit. We do have a proficiency gap, an achievement gap, and that's across the board. And I don't necessarily, we need to look at it in the lens of race, because if we look at our math, all grades, average proficiency is 79%. So that means about 2,500 of our students are not proficient in math. So that tells me we need to just dig in, take a look at our math education curriculum, and create a concrete plan that our teachers can be empowered with to build on. And thank you.
All right, Daniel Sellers.
Well, I agree. We have many, many strengths. I will also start with our amazing, talented, and dedicated teachers. We also have strong and stable district administration, which is a huge benefit that not all districts can point to. That being said, I believe that every single student can succeed when they're given rigorous, relevant, high-quality academic instruction, along with relationship-based social and emotional support. The challenge, or weakness, of course, is delivering on that promise to all students, especially those who have been least well-served in our schools. If elected, I would want to work closely with our administration and academic teams to maintain high expectations for learning for all students, building authentic, productive relationships with all families, measuring and naming those inequitable outcomes, diagnosing specifically where students are behind, and then developing meaningful interventions and support structures to help them catch up.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to question 4. This regards equity commitment. The district's website states, quote, "The mission of Wayzata Public Schools is to ensure a world-class education that prepares each and every student to thrive today and excel tomorrow in an ever-changing global society. That cannot happen without a commitment to equity," end quote. How do you see the equity commitment helping the district deliver on its mission of education excellence for each and every student? And we start with Brian Kubish.
So there's a lot of the commitment that I agree wholeheartedly with. But there are things in there that have me, along with many other parents, very concerned. A lot of it is just due on the vagueness of what it looks like in practice. We need to have total transparency on this, because we've received many stories from parents that are concerning. And one I'll give an example of was there was an optional seminar for 6th graders to teach them about white privilege, and that happened in our district. So what kind of message are we sending to our students, teachers, and staff by saying something like that? And another question I have is, when the first sentence states our society is systemically racist, yeah, we're not perfect, no, but we need to celebrate the progress we made and continue on that and not go in reverse. We need to emphasize our similarities and not point out our differences. We need to teach unity, not division. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Erin Shelton.
Would echo what Brian said. I I believe in equality of opportunity for each and every student, and I think that's what the current district roadmap for this Wayzata Public Schools says, that each and every student is deserving of equal opportunities. As far as equity goes, it really depends on how you define it. In many cases these days, it's been redefined to mean inequality of outcome. That's just not something that we can guarantee. I truly believe that equity versus equality, you can look at it as a race. For equality of opportunity, you can coach your students, prepare them for the race, coach them along the way, shout out tips, knowing that some children are going to finish the race ahead of other children. For equity, it looks more like coaching and preparing and then calling off the race and giving everyone a participation medal. So I think we can do better for each and every student.
All right, thank you. Miriam Siddiqui.
So equitable dispersal of resources and goal-directed achievements, they are something that resonates with me a lot. As a minority member of my community, I value the inclusion of our voices, as it may serve to improve communal harmony and successful outcomes. Meritocracy in equal opportunity endeavors that rewards achievements offer a win-win solution to our community at large.
Thank you. Daniel Sellers.
Well, one of my top priorities is creating a welcoming and inclusive environment for students from all backgrounds. I hope we can agree that every Wayzata student should feel safe, affirmed, and educationally challenged when they walk into our schools. At the end of the day, it's important to remember that the purpose of the district's equity commitment is not just to be words on paper. The purpose is to achieve our mission of excellence for each and every student, to improve academic achievement, to find ways to honor every child, and to build collaboration, community, and respect across our district. Those are goals that I support, and I think everybody can get behind.
Thank you. Mutu Periakarupan.
Thank you. As I mentioned, I carry a laminated copy of the equity commitment with me. I think it's very beautiful because it's forward-looking. I commend the board for how it was put together. My two favorite parts are learn from and through our differences, and build on the strengths we each bring so that together we are more than the sum of our parts. My entire life I spent building cultural bridges, being Indian American, and it's really beautiful when that bridge is a two-way street. That's when we say each and every student. It means anytime there's two people in the room, it means both of them working together to understand each other. It's not one way. And that's certainly the way that I read the equity commitment. That's how I would want it to be implemented within the school. And at its core, it's really acknowledging that each one of us is different, and each one of the people in the school is different. How do we learn from each other? And even if we're looking at academics, one person may be studying at a higher level than the other, but each person has different strengths that each other can learn from, and that can come from having different backgrounds. So coming from different backgrounds and having so many wonderful families in Wayzata only makes everybody's individual experience richer.
Thank you. Nick DeVries.
I think we need to first look at the difference between equity and equality. Equality is the guarantee that every student has equal access to tools, resources to help them succeed. Equity is the guarantee that the outcome among students will be the same across the board. Our focus must be to give each student, regardless of background, equal opportunity and access to resources that will help them reach their fullest potential and not hold them back. I believe in equality. The current school board approved an equity commitment titled "We're All In." The first sentence says, "Systemic racism and many inequities exist in our society." How does this impact our students? How does that phrase hit our students when they read this? What impression does it give them about our school system? And what examples of systemic racism do we have in our schools right now? We need to focus our energy on setting high standards that will, again, push them to their fullest potential, no matter what that potential might be. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Herzberg.
I'm going to start off by, sharing personally what I believe in. I believe and worship a God that created us all, and it is my absolute goal to make sure that everyone is included in the Wayzata School District, for anything they want to do. I grew up in a very rural, small town, Oklahoma. Not many things available. If you were a boy, you had any sport you wanted to play. If you were a girl, you could be a cheerleader, maybe. I love Wayzata. I live here because I have 2 daughters. I have 2 sons. Anything they want to do. They want to be in chess club, robotics club. I'm a volunteer coach for the mountain bike team. My kids mountain bike, both my sons and daughters. I want to make sure that we include everyone in every opportunity here. But agreeing with Nick, Aaron, and some of the other people up here that said, thank you.
Thank you. Heidi Cater.
So, like I said before, the equity statement, the equity commitment, I applaud the district for putting it into place, because what it does is it gives a platform for the conversations to happen about our kids that are falling into the achievement gap. So what that means to me, and what I see it as, is I want to make sure that the students who have dyslexia have what they need to be reading by 3rd grade. I want to make sure that the families that fall into free and reduced meal programs have all that they need to make sure that their kids can make it to school and are ready to learn. I want to make sure that the kids who have speech impediments get on the right plan early on, so that they're not falling behind so early. For families that have English as second languages, it's hard for families to be able to teach their kids English if they don't speak it themselves. Let's make sure that all of these kids who are falling into the achievement gap have what they need, and we can uplift everybody in different ways. To me, that's what the equity statement is about.
Thank you. Milan Sahoni.
First of all, let me say that the first statement in that equity commitment about systemic racism is spot on. Research has shown, and data has been given to show that black students are incarcerated, disciplined, or punished, whatever you want to call it, 3 times more for the same offense that a white student commits. So systemic racism does exist. Inequities are unacceptable. Are we losing hope? No, because Dr. Anderson made the bold move of hiring a director, Solveig Halliday, as the director of equity and inclusion. She's taking the right steps. It's the right beginning. The legislature recently, in the last summer, passed something called the Teachers of Color Act, in which schools will be required now to hire more teachers of color, which I believe we lack in the Wayzata School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Johansson.
Thank you. I am proud of our equity commitment, as it is an extension of our mission of excellence for each and every student, and a realization of our core values that have been in place since 2011. It's not just about removing barriers, but also who we aspire to be. And it was developed through the collective wisdom of students, parents, community, and staff members, including direct input from student groups. Our equity commitment focuses squarely on ensuring success for all students and creating environments that honor each person's unique mix of overlapping identities, of which on the document we list 17. It truly represents each and every. Our mission has always been and will continue to be to ensure a world-class education that prepares each and every student to thrive today and excel tomorrow in an ever-changing global society. Meeting the needs of all students has always been a priority of Wayzata Schools, including our offerings for arts, athletics, academic opportunities, transportation, testing accommodations, school meals, gifted and talented programs, and many more. We're preparing global leaders and our neighbors in business, including 3M, Target, Cargill, General Mills, are all doing the same. It's the right work to do and our responsibility.
Thank you. All right, we move on to question number 5, which regards mental health. Mental health is a key issue of concern across the country and in our schools. How would you suggest our district address the social, emotional needs of our students? We'll begin with Miriam Siddiqui.
So achieving excellence for every child, regardless individual challenges, regardless whatever the student has, we need to have a more kind of onion peel holistic approach towards kids and try to bring out the best quality in every child. Lately, in the last 1 or 2 or maybe 3 years, we are seeing there is at least 1 or 2 kids committing suicide every year just in Wayzata. What is it? Are we pressurizing kids too much to become, I don't know, scientists, lawyers? We just need to bring out best quality in every child. They can be good. We need good fishermen, good hunters, good plumbers, electricians. Everybody is important. So sometimes even the families need help. So we have enough intellectuals just in our district that can donate 1 or 2 hours per week. We can form a committee and help out even those families that have mental issues.
Thank you. Mutu Perry Karupan.
Thank you. One of my key priorities is that we need to support a culture to support mental health and wellness. It is extremely important. Our kids are under so much pressure right now, especially with the pandemic and coming back to school. And of course, even though we have the mask mandate, the pressure of wearing a mask itself, I know, is stressful for a lot of the kids. And we need to acknowledge that mental health is important. And I'm really glad that within the last few years, we're seeing a lot more importance in the media, in publications supporting mental health and wellness and awareness. Even without the pandemic, our kids are under so much pressure. As Candidate Siddiqui referred to, we do have issues with teen suicide, and we need to make sure that we're supporting these kids and they feel and know that they have help. We need to make sure that we have help available in the school, and if the situation is such that the kids need more care, we need to have a system where we can refer those kids to get more professional help. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Nick DeVries.
Mental and emotional health of our students is of the utmost importance, especially in the last 18 months since COVID started. We need to partner with our school counselors and teachers to proactively identify issues. We need to work on finding the root of the problems and focus on those. We need to make sure that the schools have enough counselors based on the number of students. And since we do have a consistently or constantly growing school district, maybe we need to reevaluate the number of counselors we have in our schools. Sorry. We need to start focusing on removing the stigma in our schools, especially in the high school, of meeting with a counselor. I think we should look at some out-of-the-box options. Maybe we look at piloting a program where every student has a quarterly meeting with a counselor to sit down with them one-on-one, go through any issues or concerns that they may have. So eventually, over time, that stigma can be removed and students feel more free to go and meet with a counselor when a problem does come up. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Kubish.
So I think our district does a great job of this already. I believe we employ a state-leading number of mental health services faculty. Every building has at least one. The high school has 4 to 5. But our students, as mentioned, have gone through a lot over the past 18 months. And like Nick said, I think we should look into expanding our mental health services group and really make sure that our parents and students are very aware of these services, and also, understand that there are grants out there available if insurance doesn't cover particular aspects of it. And then we also need to promote these services to families and students that in a way that's not threatening. And like Nick said, eliminate the stigma of it, because we all know it's really important to address early on in the stages. And, just make it cool again to visit the right people about how you're feeling and share your feelings.
Thank you. Malin Sahoni.
Mental health is a very complicated issue, and I think intervention is one of the best services that one can provide for early detection. Teachers need to be trained. However, Minnesota is at the bottom of the barrel, number 49 for support staff. Sustainable funding is needed. More funding for students with disabilities, and my presence in the Legislative Action Committee could help. I'm a strong proponent in the legislature. I have testified in Senate in the past. Many school district challenges need a strong partnership with the state government, and I'm committed to working with our state legislators to keep Wayzata Public Schools strong. Mental health is one of the issues that I will be working on if I get elected.
Thank you. Erin Shelton.
We got to continue to encourage our students and encourage them to realize that we all struggle and that it's not something that you need to hide. It's not something that you need to worry about. Even people who appear to be perfect struggle. We need to continue to remove the stigma associated with mental illness. I do know that we've got medical professionals, healthcare professionals available throughout the district. We've got community partnerships that we can leverage. I think we can build even more of those. And like Brian said, I know that even if they can't get insurance coverage for appointments with medical professionals, I know that no one is turned away. Social media is a huge factor, detrimental factor, especially in teen girls. Instagram is shown to be very detrimental. In addition, just quickly, I think when we encourage volunteering in the community, it allows us to take our eyes off of our own problems and does help with mental health.
Thank you. Heidi Cater.
So I think what we're all seeing is that increasingly what happens outside of the classroom impacts our students greatly. And so they're bringing a lot of what's going on outside into the schools. And then we have our teachers and our counselors who have to help these students get through it. The funding just isn't enough. We can always have more counselors, but it's not just having more people. It's giving them the tools, giving our counselors the tools that they need to be able to handle the situations that they come across in our students. So we've got to support our counselors with proper training and development. I would also say that we need to find ways to connect our students to each other and to the community, because when they're connected to their community, they feel less at risk. We need to continue to create and develop relationships that can support the needs of our students through LINA, the Children's Hospital, everything that we can do to help support our students and help support those counselors so that they can continue to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Johansson.
Thank you. I'm sorry, would you repeat the question again?
All right, fair enough. It says, how would you suggest our district address the social-emotional needs of our students?
Great, thank you. I thought we talked about social emotional learning. So one thing that I want to say is our district's commitment to social emotional learning is grounded in a commitment to ensuring that the whole student can thrive. And in a leadership group in the district, we defined our mission of social emotional learning in Wayzata is to cultivate an equitable community of belonging, acceptance, perseverance, where we all build on our strengths to become confident and empathic learners. Part of our work in addressing student well-being is making sure that we have the protective factors and the supports that allow them to thrive before it becomes a crisis point. As a board member, I was active in creating our board health and well-being committee, which is working to build data points and benchmarks to make sure that we realize our strategic direction, which is to ensure the health and well-being of each of our students. Moreover, we know that our mental health challenges were apparent before the pandemic, and they're only increasing. And we need to continue to give our teachers the skills to identify and address it in class to their ability, and then make sure that we're investing in the supports for additional counselors when needed. Thanks.
Thank you. Daniel Sellers.
So first, our teachers and staff need to continue doing what they do best, which is prioritizing building those relationships with students and families. To be honest, we all have a role to play in ensuring each child in this community feels a sense of belonging, whether we're parents or community members, grandparents or volunteers, staff. That's something we can all do. We can give teachers and staff screening tools and provide them with the supports when students need it. At my own kids' elementary school, the teachers do a great job of explaining social emotional tools. They help explain those to families, the ones that are used in classroom, and they provide resources so parents can reinforce those at home. We talk about students getting their basic needs met, like food and safety and their health. And then they also have 4 needs, power, love, freedom, and fun. And just talking about those with kids so that that communication goes on both at home and in the school matters. And finally, I want to ensure that we maintain access to counselors at all schools to ensure no student's needs go undiagnosed or unmet.
Thank you. Aaron Herzberg.
Man, I wish I had 8 hours on this one. I could talk forever. So I think we still need to do what we're doing with counselors are great. I've been through it myself. I've seen counselors for depression. I think, medication is a great route too. But honestly, I would like to see more programs that get our kids involved. One of the things we do for the mountain bike team, not only do we have the kids ride mountain bike trails throughout the season, we have them volunteer to help build those trails. And I'll tell you what, those kids love those nights when they get out the shovels, they're digging trails, they're moving rocks. They're happy when they're working. And I would like to see more programs where we get kids to volunteer to help out. I think this correlates with our labor shortage in the nation. We tell our kids that you got to do well in school because you got to be a doctor. You got these high goals. I think, just simple volunteering, helping out at nursing homes. What helped me was serving coffee at church. I was unemployed. It pulled me out of my funk. I think we need to get our kids involved in volunteer programs, and that'll help with mental health. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to question number 6, which concerns safety. What steps should be taken by the school board to help ensure school safety? We begin with Malin Sahoni.
This is a very complicated issue, and it has a lot of implications. I will formulate a strategy to come up with collective decision making. It would involve stakeholders, parents, teachers, and students, and the administration of all buildings, and listen to their perspective. I would then, based on my listening and learning tour, I would formulate a strategy that is best for the students. Because after all, this is all for students, and their safety is paramount to everybody.
All right. Nick DeVries.
I think the first thing we need to do is make sure that the current safety measures and emergency preparation plans we have in place are up to date, effective, and practiced. For years growing up, we all went through the fire drills, the tornado drills, and unfortunately, in today's world, our students may need to prepare for an active shooter drill. So we need to make sure that kids are prepared for any type of emergency that may occur in the schools. We need to continue our great relationship with area police departments and continue to maintain an open communication line on any potential issues. We have to have zero tolerance for bullying, threats, or any situation that would create a hostile environment, causing a student or students to feel unsafe or unwelcome coming to school. And finally, we must ensure that the school leadership, whether it's the school board, teachers, principals, vice principals, are all on the same page and looking forward for the mental and emotional health of the students. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Siddiqui.
So starting school safety, I would like to start with media and cyberbullying, which is a big thing. We need to practice drills, of course, for various emergencies, and we also need synchronization between home as well as school on this. We need more community awareness and participation, and communal assessment of status and preemptive mitigation of facing challenges should be addressed.
Thank you. Muthu Perry Karupan.
Thank you. Thank you. I also agree that we need to review the current safety policies and protocols and review whether, one, they're being followed, and two, based on events that have happened since then, would our safety procedures protect our kids from any potential threats that we haven't foreseen? And it's really unfortunate that we're having to talk about that, but it's just a reality of how things are in our society these days. And when we're looking at our safety and protocols, we have to think about what does it protect us from, and what are we not thinking about, to ensure that our safety plan is all encompassing. And certainly one of the aspects that we see in many of the cases nationally is that a lot of the incidents are a result of bullying, and a lot of this bullying had been reported before, but nothing had been done about it, or there has been information provided and nothing had been done about it. So we need to ensure that whenever we have a potential of this happening, that the proper protocols are followed by the teachers and the administration, the superintendent, address them before it happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Siddiqui, were you through with your answer, or I didn't cut you off, did I? Okay, thank you. All right, Daniel Sellers.
Yeah, I mean, this is the paramount responsibility of the district. Every day when our parents drop their kiddos off at the bus stop or at school, their number one expectation is that we deliver them home to them safely. So whether that be when they're on the bus or entering the school building or outside of recess, we've got to be doing everything we can, like has been said, practicing those safety measures, revisiting the protocols. If elected, I would work with the administration, work to listen to parents, and ensure that those protocols really are being put in place, practiced, and effective. I'd be remiss not to say, though, that there does need to be a balancing act. It's not been fun during this pandemic, not being able to go visit my kid's classroom, not being able to go into those schools. And I know many parents want to volunteer. They want to be able to see what's going on in the classroom. And so we've got to find a balance between keeping our kids safe, keeping out anyone unwanted, while also creating a welcoming environment for parents and community members that can really help strengthen our schools.
Thank you. Ryan Kubish.
Safety and security is a top priority for every parent, including myself. I had an opportunity to meet with the police chief, Eric Fadden, and great leader, by the way. But I asked him the question, and he talked about how the Plymouth PD and the district have this great relationship, and their crisis management plans are top notch. And so that gave me a lot of confidence that we're doing a lot of the right things. He said that, we got middle schools have an officer each and on duty, and then the high school has two. I would like to explore a little bit on what that looks like in the elementaries. And we just need to ensure that we're keeping out of school the things that don't belong, like violence, drugs, bullying, etc. And I struggled academically. I was 5 feet tall and 100 pounds back in high school, so I know all about bullying. And seriously, though, I would work with Dana Miller and her team to continue to work on an anti-bullying campaign, especially with the advent of social media. And I would look to expand our mental health services in that space as well. Thanks.
Thank you. Aaron Shelton.
Oh, I thought I would remember. Miriam and Mutu make very good points about bullying, that we do have to take it seriously, that many of those kids that resort to gun violence have been bullied. So we can't let that slip through the cracks at all. And along with Brian, I was also able to meet and ask questions with the police chief, Eric Fadden, and my mind was very set at ease after speaking with him. He said, we have a dream scenario here with their relationship, but the police commissioner, the police force with the school and the school district. So being a parent and expecting my kids to be safe from the time they get onto the bus to the time they get off the bus to me again, that does put my mind at ease. I do want us to stay vigilant. We can't get complacent. I know that they do drills that are pretty comprehensive, so I want to keep those going.
Thank you. Aaron Herzberg.
I tell you what, my prayer every morning when I put each one of my kids on the bus is that there's not a school shooting. I think about it every day. And I'm an avid gun owner. I'm a hunter. My son shoots trap for the Wayzata trap team. But it's something that is on my mind every single day. Again, I think this relates to my mental health solution, volunteering. I think we need to rekindle the relationship with the police department, especially in these times. Having programs where we take troubled kids and have them volunteer with the police outreach program, so they can learn that side of policing, I think, is a solution. Working with professionals, security professionals, with the police on measures to put in place. And when you keep kids happy and involved, and they're not thinking about the kind of problems that shooters come to school with, I think that's a big part of the solution too. Kids sit on violent video games all day. They see social media, which is not a realistic world. And I think we need to get them involved and get them active. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Johansson.
Thank you. As been stated, I'm really proud of our relationship with both the Plymouth and the Wayzata Police Departments. We have open communication that addresses the big issues that have been mentioned tonight, but goes so much deeper than the extreme scenarios, and we really are fortunate to have that relationship. We also do have dear officers in the elementary schools, so there is a connection for each 12. We've invested in building safety protocols, including our Raptor system that you all get with your little name tags when you walk in, and that checking out, and a number of other staff training and development opportunities that happen on an ongoing basis to keep our kids safe from the day-to-day issues as well as the extremes. Finally, having gotten my professional footing as a school social worker during the time of Columbine, I know that it's really important to have students taken care of in their schools. And I know that students need to have a sense of belonging in their classrooms. They need to know that the adults care about them and that there is a grown-up looking after them. And there are a number of proactive scenarios that we invest in on a daily basis in Wayzata to make sure that our students belong. Thanks.
Thank you. Heidi Cater.
So safety spans from mind, body, and spirit, but I'm going to choose just one because I only have a minute here. I would be remiss if I did not say that, we're talking a lot about the pandemic, but we're forgetting that there's an epidemic of gun violence. And we need to strongly work with our community partners to find ways to address this. There are programs that exist, just like DARE, that we can educate our students to be looking out for warning signs in their in their friends, in their classrooms, to see if there's something going on. We can make sure that we have good gun sense in our homes, where homes have locked up guns and such. It's not about getting rid of guns as a whole, but it's about having good gun sense in our neighborhoods.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to question 7. Funding. It is likely that school funding may change in the next legislative session. How can the school board prepare for this? Please be specific. Mutu Perikarupan.
Thank you. As we know, the school funding formula is very complicated and often opaque. I think if I was on a school board member, I would definitely want to be sitting on the Finance and Business Committee, especially with my CPA background, to make sure that I understand the formula. And as candidate Sohoni mentioned earlier, it seemed like Wayzata, we always have to fight for our share of the funding. Typically, our funding comes from local property taxes, and we would assume that with the amount of new construction going on in our district, and because everybody wants to come to Wayzata and increasing home values, we would assume that we should be getting increased funding through the property taxes and the increasing base. And I would want to make sure that we see that happen in terms of increased revenue to the district. And as the legislature is proposing changes, I'd want to make sure that we're involved in evaluating that formula to make sure that it's not negatively impacting Wayzata, to make sure that we get our fair share, because we do have a huge commitment, and our district keeps growing. We're trying to maintain the high level of quality of education that everybody knows us for.
Thank you. Nick DeVries.
I think I would echo what he said. We need to take a look at what the growth is within the district for new homes, and focus on the property tax increase that could potentially come from those homes. We need to keep our financial responsibility in check and make sure that we are prepared for whatever may lie ahead with any changes in funding. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Daniel Sellers.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I've served on the district's Legislative Action Committee for the past 2 school years. I'm an experienced advocate at the state capitol. I've testified dozens of times. I know most of the legislative members on the education committees, and I would be comfortable lobbying for our schools and students and ensuring that all of our legislative representatives are aware of the needs and opportunities of Wayzata schools. I also have more than a dozen years of experience as a nonprofit executive managing budgets, including resource allocation, investment, and direct money management for multi-million-dollar organizations. One thing I can tell you is I am committed to practicing fiscal responsibility to ensure that the short and long-term financial health of the district stays in place. As a board member, I will serve as a responsible steward of district resources, be responsive to all taxpayers who live in the Wayzata School District, and provide constituents with clear rationale for all of our budgets and our investments.
Thank you. Aaron Shelton.
I remember to turn it on. I think to address upcoming possible budget shortfalls, I think the key is advanced planning. Just like with the household budget, obviously this one is a lot bigger and a lot more complicated. I know that our district has what's called a unreserved fund balance, which I learned is the correct term for a rainy day fund. So we do have funds that we can address any budget shortfalls with. Obviously, we need to keep tabs on upcoming enrollment, which I think we do a pretty good job of. We need to continue to make our school palatable for everyone, because if we can increase and continue to increase our enrollment, then we will have the funds available. I echo what Daniel said about being able to lobby effectively for the funds from the legislature, because I know that it is a legislative act that accompanies our property taxes to fully fund our schools.
Heidi Cater.
Could you repeat the question, please?
All right. How can the school board prepare for any changes in the next legislative session as it relates to school funding?
So I think that there's a balance between fiscal responsibility in our district and making sure that our schools are properly resourced. And what I know about our district is that we care about the schools, and that shows because every one of our levies and every one of our bonds passes very, very easily. And so that's one thing that draws people into the district, is that they know that our district is going to be properly funded and that our schools are going to have what they need resource-wise to make sure that our kids are taken care of. When it comes to budget shortfalls, it's all about planning, right? And we have a AAA rating, and it's all about keeping fiscally responsible, but also balancing that with knowing when to spend and how to spend on our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron Herzberg.
As I mentioned before, I have a master's degree in education and leadership. That was a long time ago. I won't pretend that I ever worked in it, but my professor, I do remember, had been superintendent of schools for Sartell for over 30 years, and he said that school finance is so complicated that he still didn't have a full grasp of it. What I do know is that if enrollment's up, you get more funding, and I think that we need to go back to our other issues and stop the mass exodus of students from our school system to private schools, to moving out of state, and to make our school attractive to be in again for students and the parents. So that would be my solution to school finance, and I will leave the details to CPAs to figure that out. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Johansson.
Hi there. I just want to confirm that our district remains a district of choice to families, and that is because of their trust in our district. As it relates to finance, we have an outstanding business and operations office, and they do have the skills, capacity, and experience to anticipate the ebb and flow of school funding. And this is an issue that has already been discussed at the board table, and we continue to look at solutions. We are also structured to ensure fiscal prudence, and I'm proud of our AAA bond rating that we were able to maintain and even slightly improve even during the pandemic. Finally, we must remain proactive in keeping our commitment to our taxpayers, and we were able to do that when we refunded $13.3 million over the life of some of our bonds just this past spring. I think it was May when we approved it. So we have structures in place, and we must continue to stay on top of them and have the conversations. As my colleagues have said, we also have maintained relationships with our legislators, and they know that we only ask for what we need. So thanks.
Thank you. Brian Kubish.
Yeah, when I think of funding, I think of growth, and we obviously have a good thing going on in our district. We have growth, which means we have a healthy, desirable community. But with growth comes change, and with growth comes the need for more funding, right? And it's going to require a large investment in infrastructure, supplies, teachers, and staff. We've been very blessed with the generosity of our community, as it's been said already. And just because we've been fiscally responsible, planning for the needs is crucial. I'd work with Dee Dee Carring's team and talk to her and look through all the data. We need to ensure that enrollment projections are accurate. We need to dig into reasons for unenrollment and ensure those drops are going to be recovered. Look at the third-party data. As you can tell, I'm a numbers guy. I like data. I'm a data nerd. So this is kind of in my wheelhouse, and I look forward to working through this with the board.
Milind Sahoni.
Thank you. Now I'm going to throw some numbers at you if this was not enough so far. The Wayzata School District has a revenue from what the data I've seen last, has $184 million revenue. That amounts to about $16,000 per student. 60% of that revenue is from the state funding, 35% from property taxes, and 5% from federal. The increase per pupil revenues in the next year budgeted is less than 2.5%, and after that is, I think, just under that. That is less than inflation. So there is no way we can survive with that kind of funding. So problem is that the school district we live in is a very wealthy school district. Is there a solution? Yes. I have been very fiscally responsible when I owned a business. I ran a business in which the revenues were flat in a very mature market. I cut costs, I cut expenses, and tripled my profits. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Miriam Siddiqui.
Yes, so I consider myself fiscally a very conservative person. I want to focus on balancing the budget all allocation and cuts should be based on achieving fiscal balance, and we need to set up short-term and long-term goals and prioritizing mission-critical vision. The one thing I would say is we need a thorough analysis of the impact of the pandemic and then reprioritize budget allocations. I think choice is expansion versus quality focus. We have to find the right balance between the two. And I would definitely always, prefer to work with the financial office already in existence and help move it forward at a good pace. Taxes alone may not be the solution. Overcrowding of schools push is towards expansion. So more directional and effective utilization of funds and resources is needed.
Thank you. All right, this will be your final question. Question number 8, qualifications for school board. What experiences do you bring that prepare you for the role of the Wayzata School Board member, whose duties include setting policies, curriculum, personnel, physical facilities, and reviewing budgets to provide fiscal responsibility? Please be specific. Daniel Sellers.
Yeah, like I said, I've been executive director of 4 different education nonprofits, and before that, I was a 6th grade math teacher. So I've been in education my whole life. As executive director of a nonprofit, you're responsible for everything. You do the hiring and firing. I had to raise millions of dollars a year in funding. I had philanthropists have to entrust with me their limited resources. Managing those budgets, managing personnel, that includes setting vision and direction, making difficult decisions about hiring and letting people go. It includes communications, and it includes ensuring the day-to-day operations. And it's something I'm comfortable with, and not just in any field, but in education. And I've been happy to have had the opportunity to lead organizations that I believe in the mission of, that are doing good work in the community, and excited to apply what I've learned to my time on the school board.
All right, thank you. Miriam Siddiqui.
So being a trained dentist, a private business owner, an academician, a scientist, and being a wife of a OCD ICU doctor who is serving our nation's veterans, I feel like I understand the importance of baton, of passing the baton to our future generation on an even playing field. I feel like this pandemic has amplified the hills and crevices of civic landscape, and I feel like it has highlighted my desire to contribute in a meaningful way. My and my family's special experience towards developing a crowd-funded educational endowment at University of Minnesota Children's Hospital to educate end-of-life care for children gave me the perspective of engaging the community and bringing out-of-the-box solutions. 15 seconds.
Thank you. Aaron Herzberg.
I have worked in the IT industry. I've owned my own business. I had a non-emergency medical transportation business. I've had to do everything, the hiring, the firing, the fiscal responsibility. I'm currently in a sales leader position at my current company. I've been educated in higher ed. But honestly, you can take all that and throw it out the window because what makes me unique is that I'm passionate about helping kids, teachers, administrators for making this the best possible school district in Minnesota. I am willing to listen to all sides. I want to do what's right and not the sharpest spoon in the drawer up here, but I will find the right person for the right job. And I will do everything I can. My work ethic is unsurpassed. I'll work circles to make things happen for the Wayzata School District. Thank you.
Thank you. Malin Sahoni.
Okay, my turn to ask you to repeat the questions, please.
All right. What experiences do you bring that prepare you for the role of a Wayzata School Board member whose duties include setting policies, curriculum, personnel, physical facilities, and reviewing budgets to provide fiscal responsibility? Please be specific.
Okay. I have a breadth of experience as a scientist, volunteer, business leader, and an entrepreneur. I have an MBA. I have owned a business for 16 years. I'm also on the Curriculum Instruction Technology Advisory Committee as far as the curriculum goes. I'm on the Legislative Action Committee, and so funding will be one of the things that I will focus on. I've already talked about an example of my fiscal responsibility when I increase my profits multiple fold in a mature market with flat revenues. The hardest part will be to get funding from the state. So it will be a challenge to accommodate, to make do with what we have in terms of property taxes and the funds allocated by the state. And I will be very careful with your taxes, that's for sure. I'm very stingy when it comes to money, and I will be stingy with your money as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Johansson.
Hi, I'm the current treasurer of the Wayzata School Board. I've served as chair and vice chair. I've been a member of every single school board committee. I've developed the Health and Wellbeing Committee, and I've served on a number of appointments as a representative from the school district. Additionally, I understand that school board governance is complicated, that there is a steep learning curve, and it's influenced by complicated education guidelines and statutes, a very complex financial structure, district operations that are not always seen by the public but are vital to day-to-day operations, the importance of forging relationships and building trust with a community of over 70,000 very diverse and very well-educated and engaged residents, and the importance and complication of the weighing the nuances and unintended impacts of policy, program, and financial decisions. I have a graduate degree from the University of Michigan in the Management of Human Service Organizations and Clinical Social Work, and my professional experience includes the management of nonprofit organizations, school social work, and teaching at the undergraduate and graduate level.
Thank you. Heidi Cater.
What I'll bring to the district is the board is quite a bit. So I'm currently an adjunct professor at St. Kate's, so I have a keen eye on curriculum development and achievement gaps, along with celebrating the excellence of students. I am a small business owner of an established clinical trials development firm. And so budgets, planning, and execution are all in my wheelhouse for very complex projects. I have a master's degree in public health policy and administration, so I know systems very well and I understand fully how policies will affect the individual and the community as a whole. I also bring a wealth of volunteerism. I've sat on several boards in our communities, so I worked for 10 years on a board at Park Nicollet Hospital. I sit on the Children's Hospital Star Gala, which is one of their largest events. I've sat on another board in North Minneapolis that called the Neighborly Needs for 10 years. So I will be able to hit the ground running if I was elected to board.
Thank you. Ryan Kubish.
So I'm a dad of a 4- and 6-year-old, so my negotiation skills are on point. No, in all seriousness, I bring positivity and optimism to everything that I do. I work for a very diverse global organization. I'm also a small business owner, so I believe my professional experiences will translate to the challenges of the school board very well. Working in agriculture, though, I got an extreme passion for healthy, nutritious food choices. Better, more nutritious food is available to us, and I've actually done a lot of research along with my wife on state and federal grants available for schools and other farm-to-school programs that already exist, including some that are through the University of Minnesota. And I just think about how cool it would be to involve students in the process of producing and preparing our own food, visiting local farms, start a school gardening program is a huge passion of ours with a greenhouse and a potentially composting program, and just a great way to educate students on what goes into producing nutritious food for our communities.
Thank you. All right, Nick DeVries.
So I am not a teacher. I don't have a PhD, but what I do have is conviction. I will be a voice for the parents in Wayzata. I take a very common sense approach to every situation that can bring a new and fresh perspective to the board. As a small business owner, I need to make sure that I'm practicing fiscal responsibility to maintain the health of my company. I interview and hire employees. I hold performance reviews to make sure employees are holding the highest level of integrity. But more than anything, what qualifies me is communication. I spend my entire day communicating with clients, my team, corporate partners, and members of the community. My focus in these conversations is to collaborate and work towards a common goal. I truly think a critical piece in driving success within our school district is open and improved communication with the parents, teachers, students, and the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mutu Peria Karupan.
Thank you. As a CPA and a partner in a national firm, I'm sworn to an extreme level of accountability and integrity. I bring experience with strong financial analysis and budget review. And when we're evaluating opportunities and trying to make effective uses of resources, we want to be able to say yes. We want to make sure that we're effectively using the resources. And even though I'm a CPA and have a strong financial background, I've really built my reputation as a collaborative leader and being able to bring people together as unifiers, so I can build on this Wayzata spirit of unity and collaboration. I bring a very unique equity perspective, having grown up as a second generation Indian American, loving two cultures. I love the North Stars growing up, and I also love my homeland, India, growing up as well. So I bring a very unique perspective. And most importantly for me, to be a school board member, you really have to love kids. I love volunteering with kids. I love teaching kids. I love being around kids. And I'm in this for the long game for the kids, having been a business leader and watched my kids and their friends grow up from K through 12, finish college. Now those kids are all reaching out to me on LinkedIn and asking me to be a mentor for them. So I'm in this for the long game for all our kids.
Thank you. Erin Shelton.
I can truly say I do share this arena with a lot of highly qualified individuals. As a pharmacist, I have a medical background, so I believe that I can bring that perspective to the school board, especially in this time where health is such a focus. I'm a world traveler. I've lived in 4 countries aside from this one. I've been a language learner. I have friends that I'm blessed to call my friends all over the world. I know what it's like for simple tasks to be very difficult, to have to take my mail to someone else to read, to need an interpreter. So I believe that these points of view can really help me identify with families who struggle with those kind of things here in our community. While my household budget does not in any way resemble the budget of this school district, I do know the importance of fiscal responsibility and good stewardship. Oh, that was fast. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're now moving to closing statements, and I will now call on each of you for your closing statement, beginning with Mutu Peria Karupan.
Thank you. A key reason why our district is so highly respected and highly ranked is because of the collaboration and collaborative spirit between the board, the administration, the teachers, and the community. This unity is powerful and inspiring and comes through in the student experience. Through my work in the community and over the course of my business career, I have built a reputation as a collaborative and inspirational leader. As our district faces new challenges and continued growth, we must continue to keep laser focused on providing high-quality education. This means a holistic approach to developing students who are well-rounded, care about their community, and are extremely well-prepared for their next step after high school. My kids and all their friends shared that they felt better prepared for college than the other freshmen they met. This is attributed to the academic excellence they were used to from Wayzata. For example, my son is a mechanical engineer, his twin sister is in the Doctor of Pharmacy program at the U, and our younger daughter is at the University of Michigan studying public policy. The Wayzata experience was key in preparing them for continued success. I am passionate that each and every student has an equal opportunity to enjoy the Wayzata experience. I would bring a unique equity perspective as a second-generation Indian who has learned to embrace dual cultures. Growing up on Bass Lake, the kids in our neighborhood taught me to water ski, while I also learned our family traditions from my grandparents when visiting our village in India. I have spent my life building bridges between cultures, and I can use this experience to support our equity commitment. This effort to understand each other is a two-way street. We need to support a culture of awareness for mental health and wellness. Especially now, our kids need our support and understanding more than ever. It is important that our kids are happy and feel supported. Our kids have shown amazing resiliency during this pandemic, and we must provide a positive environment to celebrate being back in school. We must follow all necessary steps to safely keep our students in the classroom with their peers and teachers. Based on current guidance, this means wearing masks and following recommended protocols. I will be the calm voice that brings thoughtful analysis to issues. I am a great listener and value others' perspectives. I'm committed to building our tradition of unity and collaboration. As a Wayzata School Board member, my efforts will be focused on what is best for the kids. We must keep Wayzata on top. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Kubish.
Thanks again to the League of Women's Voters. Look, I'm not a politician. I'm a husband, and I'm a father of 2, soon-to-be 3 little girls. Our growing family has a vested interest in this district, just like all of you. And that's why I'm here. I want to be a voice for my 3 girls and each and every student, parent, teacher, faculty, and community member that want a world-class education for everyone. I believe the foundation for healthy, happy kids and a strong, robust immune system is nutritious food. I want to explore farm-to-school meal programs. We should hold our school meals to a higher standard like our family does at home, limit highly processed foods and artificial ingredients. I believe we need to refocus some energy on real-world skills, technical skills for the trade industry, military service, and life after school. While keeping in mind we're preparing our kids for a workforce where we likely don't even know what some of the jobs that they're going to be doing are. We need to think outside the box. We must continue to hire the best and brightest teachers because they are what drives us to excellence. And we need to empower them with the resources to set them up for success. Let's ensure every student, teacher, and staff member has a safe and welcoming learning environment every day. I'll stand for parent choice, keeping politics out of our schools, and ensuring each and every student gets the same world-class educational opportunity and experience. And lastly, as I mentioned, we have a growing district. Most of our schools are nearly to capacity. We'll need to make some large investments into the district. And with my experience and the data that we can look through, those decisions I won't take lightly and look forward to experiencing that as a school board member. And I believe my experiences as a professional will translate into the school board very well, and I'm ready to take on that challenge. Thank you.
Thank you. Heidi Cater.
Thank you all for your thoughtful questions tonight. I'm really heartened to see the level of participation and excitement around our schools this year. I know our district because I was a student, and now I'm a parent of students. And in fact, in the coming 4 years, which would be the board term, I'll have 1 kid in each level, elementary, middle, and high school. So you can be sure that the decisions I would make as a board member would impact my family just as much as they would impact yours. I've had the chance to knock on hundreds of doors from Minnetonka to Maple Grove, meeting with teachers and students and parents and administrators. Anybody you can think of, I have met with them. And I'm taking the time to hear each of your experiences. And you know what's obvious to me? Is that families who choose Wayzata are here for a reason. We love this district. We know we have something special here. And we also know that we have to keep up with our ever-evolving, changing needs. Right now, that means leaning into the year of mitigation strategies to keep our kids safely in school for in-person learning. In the coming years, it'll be how do we make sure that students feel safe both physically and mentally in our schools? How do we address the persistence of our achievement gap? How will we seize the opportunity of a new middle school? How do we make sure we're offering the best of Wayzata, from meals to curriculum to opportunity for each and every student? And how do we do all of those things efficiently and on budget? I believe I have the skills and the proper professional and educational grounding to guide these challenging decisions. I'm here as an independent candidate. I'm not backed by any outside organization, and I'm certainly not here as a single issue candidate. Every one of my donors and volunteers is connected to this community, and they believe in me as a trained, highly trained, motivated mom with the energy and passion to get to the business of our kids. Let me be your voice to ensure Wayzata is true to its commitment of excellence. I hope I've earned your vote, and if you haven't already, please be sure to vote Heidi by November 2nd, because your vote matters.
Thank you. Sarah Johansson.
Thank you to my fellow candidates for your expertise and commitment to our district and for your participation tonight. And thank you to everyone who submitted the important and thoughtful questions. I am really grateful for this opportunity. I love my job and I love our community. I love seeing our staff in action. I love elevating student voice, and I love helping families secure the best experience possible for their students. I also love working through the hard things and doing what I can to impact change, even when conditions are not ideal. And as we all know, conditions have not been ideal. As you have seen and heard tonight, there are differences in how the candidates see the issues and how we will approach the work. And while there are some flashpoint issues that are getting a lot of attention right now, the work of the school board director requires a commitment to the big picture, a strong understanding of governance, and an unwavering dedication to representing all 12,000 of the students that are in our buildings today and those that will join us in the future. You can depend on me. I have proven my commitment to our district vision of ensuring a world-class education that prepares each and every student to thrive today and excel tomorrow in an ever-changing global society. I've demonstrated results toward our vision of exceptional student learning, experience, and relationships, community trust, partnership, and confidence, and operational excellence. The work of the school board is challenging, and it takes an incredible commitment, a dedication to continuous learning, and a willingness to find common ground. This is why I'm seeking re-election. I'm proud of the work that I've done leading the district, and I'm more determined than ever to ensure excellence for all of our students. I understand the complexities of public education, and you can trust me to persevere through the challenges that we will face while positively leading us into the future. I pledge to listen, collaborate, seek understanding, and most important, stay laser focused on ensuring that every student has the resources and supports to thrive, both academically and as an individual. I know what I'm getting into, and most of all, I'm optimistic and hopeful about the days ahead. Please vote Sarah Johansson for re-election by November 2nd. Your vote matters.
Thank you. Erin Shelton.
I want to again thank the League of Women Voters and all the volunteers that made tonight's forum possible. Also, my fellow candidates, you really are an amazing bunch of people. Though an Army brat, most of my years of education were spent in Louisiana. I graduated with a Bachelor's of Science from LSU and went on to earn my doctorate of pharmacy at Xavier University of Louisiana in New Orleans, where I was first in my class. Since then, my family has had the incredible experience of living abroad in 3 different countries. We lived in China, Netherlands, and in Russia. I lived in Germany as a child. I believe these parts of my personal story uniquely qualify me to sit on the school board here in Wayzata. My medical background and pharmacological experience will allow me to bring these perspectives to the board, especially now that our students' health is at the forefront. My overseas experiences have broadened my mind and made me a better version of myself. They've given me a global perspective that I wouldn't otherwise have. I do know what it's like to feel alone in a room full of people, but the experience, though hard at times, was priceless. I also know how important it is to be the one to reach across the divide. Abroad, I was able to see how much people of different ethnicities and backgrounds are alike, much more than they are different. Our mother tongues and skin colors may have differed, but our general concerns and desires for our children were very much the same. Each of your children is a unique individual with intrinsic worth that goes well beyond skin color or gender. Let's not teach them to focus on their differences. Let's not let anyone teach them that their race or gender is the most important thing about them. We as a school district must focus our attention and resources on keeping the essentials of education, reading, writing, science, and math, excellent here in Wayzata. We must focus on what unites us while celebrating our differences. Let's get back to the basics together. On November 2nd or before, your vote will matter. Make a difference for the better and vote for Aaron Shelton. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel Sellers.
Yeah, I too want to say a sincere thank you to my fellow candidates here. I've learned a lot tonight. This is a critical moment as we emerge from the pandemic and deal with potential learning loss, as well as the social emotional health of our students. We need pragmatic, steady, and informed leadership on the school board. My North Star will be meeting the needs of Wayzata students and staff. I will be a leader for every family in the Wayzata School District. I will carefully examine all sides of complicated issues and listen to parents and community members. I truly enjoy working alongside community members and families to achieve positive outcomes for kids. If elected, my focus will be on academics, which prepare our students for success in college, career, and life, and ensuring every student in this district feels welcome and included. I am committed to good governance. I understand the complexity of the district. I have a deep understanding of education policy and practice. I've helped write several pieces of education legislation which have been successfully implemented across the state. As a former teacher myself, I am so grateful for and proud of Wayzata's teachers, especially after all they've dealt with over the past 2 years. I've recently spoken with several Wayzata educators, and I hear a similar refrain from many of them. They just want to be able to focus on their students. As a school board member, I will work to keep the political bickering and noise out of our classrooms so our teachers can do what they do best, which is teach. Finally, I believe in accountability. As a father who each morning sends my own 2 children to Wayzata schools, I have a personal stake in the success of this district. Wayzata schools are home to incredible students, staff, and families. And as a board member, I will feel a sense of responsibility to every one of you, and I will do everything I can to meet your needs. Please vote for Daniel Sellers by November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Siddiqui.
I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you personally for providing me with this platform. Let us all be responsible and engaged in making our public schools a safe place for our children to grow. We need voices of reason, merit, collective patience, and perseverance. Let us focus on shared values and meritocracy to reach win-win solution. The stagnancy and inaction by virtue of our rigid stance is not an option for the future facing our children. I would like to be the middle voice for direction and action. I see the human in all of us first. Our common challenges, our tests and aspirations are too valuable for us to be fractured by group-based differences. Our truth is more valuable and is the common heritage of all our children. I represent multiple minorities and hope to bring forward their distinct perspective through engagement, service, and creating opportunities for our communal growth. Any positive development of a community starts with meaningful engagement of all its members. Hearing the voices, which might otherwise be muffled, may offer various and occasionally unique perspectives for a stronger community. I would use the base of our common goals to bring together the differences in opinions, policy strands, or political opinions. I'm grateful to all of you for this opportunity, and I ask for your vote and support. Vote for Miriam Siddiqui by November 2nd, please.
Thank you. Milin Sohani.
First of all, I would like to thank my fellow candidates for their insights and their knowledge and their participation. I am a first-generation immigrant who has lived the American dream. This country provided me the opportunity to pursue higher education and own a profitable business. My children, who graduated from this district, are set up for success and are currently working in their chosen field. I am passionate about helping make this educational experience be available to all children in our district. Too many students in our school district, however, are not receiving the support they need. For example, disproportionately more students of color are not performing at grade level in reading and math. In addition, some students do not feel a sense of belonging while in the classroom. If elected, I would be a champion for marginalized students. Let me give you an example of why we need help from the state. One of my neighbors repeatedly asked the district for help for her child who has a well-documented disability. After repeated rejection by the district, she fortunately had the means to spend thousands of dollars out of her own pocket to seek remedial services which should have been offered by the district in the first place. Most people don't have the same financial ability. And when any student is struggling, their classmates are impacted. I want to ensure all your kids are successful. I am eager to be in dialogue with you and hope to champion your ideas as we strive to make Wayzata Public Schools a model for excellence, equity, and inclusion. I am a forward thinker who understands the values of equal opportunities, better education, a diverse community, and fiscal responsibility. I believe that the Wayzata School District can be a model for all Minnesota. Every problem has a solution, and I want to be a part of that solution. One final time, my name is Milind Sohoni, and I'm asking for your vote.
Thank you. Aaron Herzberg.
I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for the opportunity tonight to speak and thank the community of the Wayzata School District for your concerns and questions. If elected, I promise to represent the best interest of all students, parents, teachers, administrators, support staff, and the taxpayers. My top issues are curriculum excellence and transparency, to ensure the continued offering of a wide variety of top-ranked classes and extracurricular programs for all students, with an emphasis on politically neutral curriculum. Equality, to embrace change and continue equality and empowerment for all students who want to take advantage of Wayzata's long history of high-quality education. Safety, to ensure safe and secure educational environment where students feel safe, heard, and supported. Establish a culture that fosters an openness for all beliefs and lifestyles where bullying and cancel culture are not tolerated. Freedom of choice, to ensure freedoms for all, including the freedom to mask or not mask, and to vaccinate or not vaccinate as related to COVID-19. Develop a culture of respect and understanding for all human perspectives and beliefs, and to drive unity within the district and community. Spending discipline, promote fiscal responsibility and effective prioritization of district spending to ensure all taxpayers are receiving the best return on their investment for our future, our children. And finally, strong leadership. I want to continue to attract and retain high-quality teaching, administration, and support staff that includes through selection criteria to ensure potential staff fits the mission of the district, and by offering top pay and benefits packages. I want to help balance viewpoints and expand the importance of differing perspectives of the Wayzata School Board. I'm here today to let you know what I'm all about and to ask for your trust and confidence and vote on November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick DeVries.
Thank you again to the League of Women Voters for the opportunity to be here tonight. Communication and transparency with our parents and students will be essential moving forward. I cannot stress this enough. We are at a critical point within our district. The decisions that we make now are going to have a lasting impact on our students' education in the future. I believe strongly in maintaining political neutrality in the classrooms, keeping curriculum fact-based, not opinion-based. That parents should reserve the right to introduce sensitive topics to their kids when they deem appropriate, allowing parents the right to exercise medical freedom for their families, continuing our efforts on student mental and emotional health, as well as student safety, providing students nutritious lunches at school, and maintaining a fiscal responsibility with our budget. This is what I believe, I stand for, and I will work hard to accomplish if elected. I ask that you please visit my website, nick4wsb.com, to learn more about me and vote for Nick DeVries before November 2nd. Thank you.
Thank you. In closing, I'd just like to say I know that all of our names are important to us, and I apologize to anyone whose name I mispronounced. This concludes the Wayzata School Board Candidate Forum. Please join me in thanking the candidates with your applause. Thank you also to the League of Women Voters volunteers, our audience here, and those viewing this event on cable and video for your participation in this candidate forum. Thank you to the Wayzata School District staff and the City of Plymouth for supporting this event. And finally, we wish to acknowledge and thank CCX Media for broadcasting live streaming, and recording tonight's forum. On-demand viewing can be accessed at www.lwvwpa.org. Please remember to vote on November 2nd in the November 2nd election by absentee ballot or in person. Your vote is your choice. The League of Women Voters welcomes new members, both women and men, at www.lwvwpa.org. Thank you and good night.